So I'm gonna be honest, I don't even remember the last time we made a video about this prospect, but if I had to guess, it was probably sometime during the 2021 draft season. Today we're talking about a guy whose name is probably unfamiliar to you if you're a Montreal Canadiens prospect fan. We've talked at length about Ivan Demidov. We've made videos over the past few years about guys like Philip Méchard and Owen Beck and all these other names that pop around the Canadiens prospect world. But for the later round picks, we normally just make the draft video about them, and then, unless they actually show off pretty well in the next few years, that's about it. So when it comes to this player right here, the Montreal Canadiens' 87th overall pick in the 2021 NHL Draft, Dmitri Kostenko. This is a name who is so obscure, he doesn't even have a picture on Elite Prospects. Now, all joking aside here, Kostenko is a Canadiens prospect, 21 years old, 6'1", 187, right-handed defenseman, and he's had a pretty strange career path ever since being selected by the Habs in 2021. In that season, he was splitting the load between Lada Togliatti's VHL and MHL team, where he was a point-per-game defenseman in the junior scene and had 1 point every 4 games as a member of the VHL team. This was a pretty okay number, I'd say, considering the VHL is the second top-tier pro league in Russia. Now, for Kostenko, he was one of the oldest players in the 2021 NHL Draft, so you could say that kind of diminished his stock a little bit, but he was a fairly worthwhile pickup for the Canadiens in this 87th overall spot. You know, it's the third round. By this time, if there are guys available that you like, you just end up taking them, regardless of where they were ranked to go, whatever. Just if you like a guy, you take him. That's it. As Kostenko's career went on, though, he continued into the VHL. He started getting more points over there. He had played a full season in the KHL in 2022-2023, playing for the awful Kunlun Red Star team. 4 points, 52 games played. But of course, nobody on Kunlun really has too much production anyway. It's kind of a... I don't want to say it's a dead destination for players and NHL potential, but Kostenko was a part of this team. And this most recent season, in 2023-2024, he had split the load between two teams in the VHL, Khimik Voskresensk and Ugro Khanty-Mansiysk. For all of my Russian fans and friends who are watching this video, I apologize. I cannot speak this darn language, but the names of the teams are there, and you can see that his point production actually was pretty good. 20 points in 22 games played with Ugro Khanty-Mansiysk. He also had 7 points in 19 games played in the playoffs for this team, but he only had 5 points in 20 games playing for Khimik Voskresensk. It is very obvious to see the discrepancy in point production from his first team to his second team. And where this gets interesting is because just a few days ago, we had the GM of his Ugro team go out there and talk so much smack about this prospect that now it's starting to make the rounds in North America. Now, just to be clear, the GM who made these comments was the GM of the team where Kostenko was a point-per-game guy, not the GM of the other team where he only had 5 points in 20 games played. Let's go out there and read what Sergei Gusev, the Ugro general manager, had to say about this Habs prospect. We're going on to TVA Sports because this article goes out there and sums it all up. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to go ahead and read this. Dmitri Kostenko, a young defenseman from the Canadiens, took off in the VHL, Russia's equivalent of the AHL, on loan to Ugro of Khanty-Mansiysk. But make no mistake, Ugro GM Sergei Gusev was eager to get rid of him. This is what Gusev says about Kostenko, the Canadiens prospect. He is never going to make it in the NHL. Gusev's reports of the youngster are scathing. They describe an offensive defenseman who flattens his power play record to serve his own ends, disdains physical play, and refuses to apply the advice that he is given. In other words, Kostenko commits the greatest sin in hockey, not being a team player. He doesn't want to learn. He just wants to do his own thing, Gusev lamented. You tell him not to make the crossfield pass, and he'll give the puck to the opponent anyway. It's not for lack of trying to change him. The hockey GM has said on numerous occasions he has taken the time to sit down with Kostenko to make him listen to reason. I've talked to him a couple of times. I said, listen, if you want to play in the NHL, you have to do this and that. He seems like he's listening, you know. He says he understands and he's going to do his best, but then the game comes and he does the same crap. Plus, if you don't put him on the power play, he acts like a baboon. He doesn't say anything, but you can see it in his body language. He drives me crazy. Seriously. The only reason Kostenko was able to get his minutes and valuable points was because no other defenseman on the team had the skills to man the power play. I couldn't bench him. If I could, I would have done it every game though, assured the Ugra GM. This is where things get interesting because the GM of this team then spoke to Nick Bobrov, the Canadiens' co-director of amateur scouting, and this is what he told Bobrov. The same things. Bobrov told me that he had been following the guy for 2 years and that nothing has changed. I wasn't surprised to hear that. In short, it would be surprising if Bobrov were to campaign for Kostenko to be placed under contract. No, I don't think so, Gusev said. Nothing dramatic, of course. Kostenko would just be another third-round pick who doesn't make the NHL, and the Canadiens are banking on a pool of young defensemen that are bursting at the seams. This story, however, serves as a lesson to us about hope. What appears to be a blossoming and a rise in power may just be smoke and mirrors. Statistics only tell part of the story. And so, when it comes to Dmitri Kostenko, it is very bizarre for us to see a report like this actually bring itself up in the forefront, where, hey, the Montreal Canadiens have a prospect in their system that the team of the prospect that he is on absolutely hates the guy. Hey, I have to put him on the power play because he's the only guy who could actually play here, but he is not good, quote unquote. He is not a team player. He doesn't go out there and actually work on the things that we tell him to. He makes the same careless mistakes, and he lashes out when he's not given power play time. Those are some damning comments, and ones where, when you see the Montreal Canadiens' own co-director of amateur scouting, Nick Bobrov, going out there and saying the same stuff, it all of a sudden paints a very bad picture if you wanted to project Dmitri Kostenko as a potential Habs player in the future. Now, I will say, the last time we did speak about him, I actually Googled this while we were on the side here. This was the video that we made, Habs draft skilled Russian defender Dmitri Kostenko in the 3rd round, and the video was pretty well received. I mean, there were a lot of people saying, hey, it could be nice to have another Russian defenseman who could move the puck and who could do some nice things, but at the end of the day, if the guy just does not really play a good team game at all, it's not only Montreal that's not going to give this guy a chance, it's going to be all of the NHL teams that could be analyzing and just projecting where prospects like these could go. At the end of the day, though, Kostenko, even though he did have good point production, we have to wait and see what he's able to do at the main KHL level. He's going to be playing for Spartak Moscow next season in 24-25. This will be a pretty big step up considering the only KHL experience he has had has been in the Kunlun Red Star system. And Kunlun has been such a graveyard for players' developments into the NHL, so obviously that year is somewhat of a write-off, but if he's able to go out there and consistently produce KHL superstar-like numbers, then okay, there's reason to actually pay attention to him, but if he exhibits a lot of these traits at the KHL level as well, who knows how well received that's going to be. Spartak Moscow last season already did have themselves quite a few point producers and guys that can do some pretty good things on the power play. So for Kostenko, it's a lot more difficult to break onto that scene and continuously produce results. So for now, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about Dmitri Kostenko, a Montreal Canadiens 3rd round prospect whose GM absolutely went off on him and had an entire tirade about why this player is not going to be good enough to play in the NHL. Maybe not skilled per se, but in terms of personality and adaptability, being able to listen to what it is that you're told, and being able to play a team game. Let me know your thoughts about this Montreal Canadiens prospect in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.